Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. In Nier Reincarnation, let's do fashion checks for the New Year's characters 2024. Here we'll look at the gunslingers, Griff and Dimos. Looking at the New Year's costumes is definitely a highlight for me in Nier Reincarnation. I'm a big fan of kimono, and I've talked about multiple costumes. I'll link to the playlist below. But one thing that these two costumes have in common, just right off the bat, is that their sleeves are tied up. The kimono, they have long sleeves which can get in the way of, sword play, or, cooking, cleaning, that kind of thing. So we can see that they both have kind of ropes that are tied under their arms, over their shoulders, in order to keep the long sleeves back and out of the way. But let's look at Dimos first. We'll move him over here. He has this kind of a wide triangular hat, kind of similar to Final Fantasy Udil. That's also in the playlist below. And then let's look at how it fits his head. So yeah, this is actually larger in size around the crown of the head than Final Fantasy Udil. It was quite small on Udil before. But as with many other costumes here in the Nier Reincarnation game, none of the hats compress the hair down like it would in real life, so this is kind of inflated in size. Alright, we got a scarf or muffler around the neck. And then one thing that immediately stood out to me was that these sleeves are super long on Dimos. Typically with kimono, it's only the younger unmarried women that have sleeves this long, so I wonder if Dimos is wearing a woman's kimono here. But interestingly, looking at the structure, it only comes down to the knee. So I really wonder what's going on here. This is maybe a modified kimono. But then looking at kind of the inner layer there, we see kind of a medium gray. This does kind of go down to the ankle, but it also looks very modified. Doesn't close in the front, below the waist. So yeah, structurally, this is very far from a traditional kimono. What else can we talk about? On the arms, looks like he's got some kind of armor. Very lightweight, might be closer to ninja armor. And then we have a big hanging here down the front. I do not know what that is connected to. And then around the middle we have some ropes tied. The red and the white, those are, that's a very typical kind of color combination used in connection with New Year's or other kind of celebratory events like graduations and that. And then this big white rope in the middle. Don't usually see that on kimono. That's an interesting choice. And then he is wearing true poofy pants. These are not, this is not the hakama, which is kind of a, I guess a long skirt. These are actual pants. And then we saw these worn by a ninja again. Very flowy, very easy to move. But nowadays maybe we can see this kind of pant on carpenters for the same reasons. Easy to move around, flowy. And then below the knee we have maybe long socks or stockings. And then the Geta footwear. Although this is rather tied up around, kind of high up on the ankle, so not the typical footwear that we would see today. But yeah, this is far from a traditional kimono. It'd be more like a kind of a variation or a modernization on the traditional. But yeah, I remember back when I was thinking about potential kimono on different characters. For Dimos, I floated the idea of either like a Western take on a kimono or like a tattered kimono. This is closer to maybe a Western take. Okay, but that was Dimos. Alright, next let's look at Griff, which is kind of a different take on the Western kimono. Let's do the customary hat check first. From the front, looks pretty good. From the side, well, looks pretty good. Okay. The 3D modelers are learning. Interesting point about this hat is that it has a very narrow brim. It doesn't come off the head very much. Maybe this is a derby hat. All right, and then zooming out. So here too, we have the sleeves tied up, but his length of his sleeves, the hanging down part, that is much closer to current styles. He also has a muffler scarf tied around the neck, and then weird corset here. Never see that on kimono. Maybe for women. I have seen it on women, actually, but never for men. And certainly not above the haori coat, which is this black here. Oh, and also, when people do tie back the sleeves of the kimono, it's just wearing the kimono. They would usually take off the haori in order to fight or clean or do dishes or whatever. So, interesting here. Here, it looks like he's wearing a Western dress shirt of a black color underneath the kimono, and that, along with this kind of a derby hat, is a style that we saw in the Taisho era of Japan, which was around the 1930s. This was when Western fashion was starting to come into Japan, but people were mixing it with Japanese fashion. So wearing kimono like this with dress shirts or felt or wool hats, boots, that kind of thing. So parts of this kimono are kind of a reference to the Taisho era. The kimono, under kimono here, we have kind of a warm gray color with a kind of a square of red. Very unusual choice of that red there. And then a belt over the chest, which is connected to what? The corset? That's odd. Alrighty. Coming down. Random cloth tied there. And then here we kind of have something that looks like the hakama, poofy pants. It's got the same sort of pleating, but it does not connect at the ankles, which the typical hakama would. And then there we see boots, so that's another kind of a Taisho era touch there. Unfortunately, the corset, and then this kind of brown-looking wrap around the middle, is covering the belts that would usually be there on the hakama, so we can't see if that is represented correctly or not. Okay, but interesting. And yeah, I was very happy to get lots of male characters this year for the New Year's costumes. Female kimono are often very common in mobile games like this, but to get a lot of men this year was very cool. Late last year in 2023, I did play Sino Alice a little bit, and I collected all of the kimono costumes in there that I could, and there it was much closer to accurate with how the kimono were presented, like structurally, also stylistically. Maybe most people don't care about accuracy of kimono in video games, but like just the other day I saw someone cosplay, a Japanese person, as Akeha from Nier Reincarnation, and like they constructed the kimono like it was a Western garment, like a jacket. You could tell right away looking at how the shoulder was sewn, and I was like, oh my god, please stop. And one of the biggest reasons why I am a stickler for accuracy in kimono is because Japanese people get it wrong. They don't know their own culture, and it's pretty sad to see. But yeah, overall, for accuracy, Sino Alice has Nier Reincarnation beat. Still, it is fun to look at the Nier Reincarnation kimono. Okay, sometime later I will do a video for Udiel and Sarafa. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.